welcome. I'm going to go ahead and jump in and get started with things today. Welcome to our FSSP engineering webinar. I want to add a disclaimer here for you all today that I'm specifically going to be covering FSSP content and course-related questions today. I know that a lot of you have a lot more questions than that, and we are happy to answer them. However, that can make tonight's conversation incredibly lengthy, and as you heard, my dog would eventually like a walk. So we have opportunities to learn more about all of the things that you're interested in, like changing majors and four-year study plans and research and internships. All of those kind of topics will be covered in orientation sessions. If you guys can join us for any of those, that's wonderful. We hope you can. We are still trying to make that a really individualized experience and personalized for everyone, even if it is virtual. So I will not be touching on too many of those questions. It's okay if you want to leave now. My feelings won't be hurt. But if you do want to hear about some summer options moving forward, I'm happy to review those with you. So moving into why FSSP, and I want to take another quick moment to say thank you so much for taking time out of all that's going on right now to spend with us and with myself, and Haley's in here as well to jump in for questions. She's our Director of Advising. I myself, welcome, I'm Katie Title. I'm a college advisor, so I work with all 5 of our majors throughout their 4 years on our campus. Our office works a lot with general advising, policy, and freshmen coming in and checking degrees for seniors going out. You will also have a department advisor, and they will be the best person to ask about specific major-related questions. Can I substitute this class with this class? Or I'm looking for this class at another university. If it's regarding your ME major or your CS major, you're going to want to talk to your department advisor for that. So why FSSP? Even in a virtual format, we are doing our best to provide enriching experience for our students and still give you the opportunity to take some classes to help you meet some of your long-term goals. So meeting incoming students is still a benefit. You'll still be in classroom and forums and discussion forums with other FSSP students, other new freshmen, so you guys can bond. Even if it's virtual, you can create contacts with people in your major, even if it's via Facebook or via Instagram, or following them on TikTok to see what they're doing in their quarantine. It's a great opportunity to familiarize yourself with our learning management system, which is called Gaucho Space, and that's where our faculty host their virtual classes and remote classes. So that's where links for live Zooms will be hosted. That's where syllabuses are found. That's where your course content grades will be found. So Gaucho Space is a tool you'll be using for the next 4 years heavily. You'll have a chance to familiarize yourself with that and a little bit earlier, as well as our registration system, Gold. And this is the website we use to register in classes, change grading options, add and drop classes for all of your future quarters. You can adjust to our college course expectations. Even in a virtual format, our faculty are looking to challenge you in the best way possible. So you can get in tune with the pace of a 6-week UC quarter. A normal quarter is 10 weeks, so this is a little bit faster. And you can learn about campus resources. We do still plan to hold virtual events and provide you all the best links and direction to our campus resources, like our Campus Learning Assistance Program, CLAS tutoring, our CAPS, our Student Mental Health Coordination. So all of those things will still be touched on and reviewed with our FSSP students. And it can lighten future quarter course loads, which will be a benefit to, main benefit for a lot of you in this summer session. So moving on, because this is probably a main question, what courses? And I do want to say you can submit questions as we go. Some I might be answering in future slides. Some might answer at the end, or we might be able to answer as we go. So feel free to submit questions as they come up. So what courses will you take? FSSP participants will take between 9 and 10 units. Like I said, it is a 6-week summer session, so we generally don't recommend taking more than that because it does move quickly. So major class, you'll either take a major class related to your major requirements, or a general education, plus a second general education, depending on where you're at and what you're coming in with. You'll take INT 95. This is a required class for all students who are doing FSSP. And you will have the option to add in additional seminar units. So you'll find the link there to see what those additional seminars are. Seminars are 1-unit classes. They usually meet less frequently and have less out-of-class coursework. It's more involved with participation, and they're really great classes. You'll have access to seminars all through your freshman year, and they're reviews of really in-depth topics taught by faculty who are the top in the area or field. Those are their passion projects and topics, and it can be really interesting and really insightful whether that faculty is an engineering faculty or not. We have physics faculty, math, writing, communications, Black studies, all these wonderful professionals teaching on the topics that they love. So I encourage seminar classes for everyone if you can fit it in. What does the major course option mean? You will, so for all of our majors, you have the option to take math. You'll find the math placement on this screen. So if you've taken AP, AB, and passed with a 3 or higher, then you'll see that you will earn credit for 2A, 3A, which is the same. And we don't do 34, we do the 2, 3, 4, 6 series. So if you took APAB, you would place into Math 3B. If you took APBC, you earn credit for 3A and 3B, so you'd move on to 4A. 4B placement is occasionally possible for FSSP, but I cannot guarantee that they hold seats for FSSP students in Math 4B. This means our continuing students who have been enrolling in summer for the last 2 months may have already filled up the seats for Math 4B. You'll see IB scores, if those are what you are joining us with, 8 or higher. If you have further math or further, then you will have placed out of classes that will be available to you in the summer. If you don't have any math test scores, any AP, any IB, or transfer work from other institutions, then you will need to take the MPE, or Math Placement Exam. And you'll find that at the bottom here, and that link should work. So if you want to screenshot that link or copy it, that is where you will go to find the Math Placement Exam. This exam can only be taken once a month. So we're at the beginning of June. If you take it now, you will have one more chance to take it in July before you would need a math placement for FSSP enrollment. So keep that in mind if you're thinking of a math. And if you do have community college transfer work, please send us an email at the end of this. Let us know what you're coming with so we can let you know what the proper math placement would be. Major course option number 2 is for our mechanical and chemical engineers. Both majors are required to take engineering 3 in their first year. Generally, it's reserved for your majors in the spring. We do offer it in the fall. And specifically what I want to point out is that engineering in the summer is engineering W3. If you ever see a class with W in the title, that means it's an intentionally online class, and that without pandemic circumstances, without remote instruction, it has been designed and vetted to be taught in an online format. You'll also, so we've been offering engineering 3 online for the last 3 to 4 summers. So the faculty is pretty honed in on their process with that class and with hosting it online. You'll see that these courses often have TBA for the time and day. That means they're asynchronous. They're not held at any given time during the week. The materials will be made available to you weekly, and you'll be expected to keep up with that class on your own time. Now that might be true for a number of your classes this quarter. Generally, our FSSP is in person. So we do not have a general policy standard procedure for our faculty to host their courses virtually. This means some faculty might require you to log into a Zoom and have attendance each lecture. Some faculty might have previously recorded lectures that they make available to you that you can watch at any time. You'll really have to find out individually from each faculty. I will say you can take less than 9 units. I do believe that FSSP is being charged per unit. There's a fee, and then there's a fee per unit. So I do believe you can take under 9 if you want to. So if you only wanted to take one class and the INT 95, you could take essentially as low as 5 units, I believe. And I do believe we're trying to record this presentation, so it should be available online later as well. That should be everything that I'll answer right now. And I'll move on and I'll get to some of these questions at the end. This isn't a very long presentation. So those were the 2 options for our chemies and MEs, math or engineering 3, if you want to take a class pertaining to your major. For our CS and our computer engineering majors, it's going to be CS8. So CS16 is not offered for FSSP. So if you're joining us with an AP score that is providing you with CS8, as you can see from this chart, if you took the AP CS principles in 2018, then you got credit for CS8. If you took it in 2019 or 2020, you do still need to take CS8. Now, if you took the AP CSA exam in the last 2 to 3 years and scored a 4 or a 5, then you will earn credit for CS8 and will be able to move directly into CS16 in the fall. We do not save seats in this class for FSSP, and it is offered in our 10-week session. So it's actually going to be starting in June, not during the session B that FSSP is held. So CS16 is not available through FSSP. And then our electrical engineers, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but your option is math. You don't take engineering 3 and you don't take CS8. You take an ECE specific programming class in the fall. So there's not really a programming class for you to move into summer. It's for our electrical engineering majors. And now the general education options, which are our areas of expertise in the college, are my favorite part. So the first thing I'll direct you to do is to check our AP credit chart in GEAR. And GEAR is on our website. There will be a link to it at the end, but GEAR looks like this. And on page 8, there is an AP credit chart. And that credit chart will say if one of your AP tests is providing you with a GE letter area. The most common GEs that we see, AP US History, AP Gov, AP Psychology, those all give area D. So if you have 2 to 3 of those, you want to avoid taking things in area D. Otherwise, you're taking things in an area you've already completed with your AP credit. So do look at the AP credit chart in GEAR before you make your GE choices. GE letter areas are D, E, F, and G for the College of Engineering. Letters and science students have more letters than that. These are the ones that we require. We require 2D, 2E, 1F, 1G. I've listed some popular recommendations that we see a lot in FSSP choices for GEs. You'll see that these classes list which area that they would provide. So music 11, film and media studies, they'll provide 1 area in area F. A class like Classics 40, which is Greek mythology, would provide an area G, as well as the special subject European traditions. Now, history of Chicano studies, 1A, and there is 1A, B, and C. They all have different topics. Some might be the cultural in a certain time period. Some might be a certain area of expertise. So Chicano studies 1A would give D, ethnicity, American history, and writing. That obviously gives a lot of special subject areas along with area D. And so on and so forth. Art history 6B is a class that you'll see in the E and the F list. It can only count for 1 letter area. However, it can still give you everything else listed there. So it would count for maybe an E if you already have credit for F, European traditions, and writing. Now, for those of you who did not earn a 4 or a 5 on AP English, maybe you've earned a 3 or you've scored a 680 on your writing SATs, that's going to place you into either writing 1 or 2, and you can take those in FSSP, though they will be the non-engineering version. During the normal year, 4 of our 5 majors, CS is the only major who doesn't take the engineering sequence, but 4 of our 5 majors will take an engineering specific writing class. So instead of writing 1, it would be writing 1E, and that's engineering specific. It's going to be with other engineers in your cohort. So it's up to you if you want to take the non-engineering specific one now or wait later. The general difference is that the topics might be more related to technology and engineering if you wait for the engineering series. Whereas the 1 and 2 general campus writing classes could be on any topic that that faculty chooses and focus on any theme. So what do all those letter areas mean? They'll work to fill out your general education requirement sheet, which will look like this. As you can see, you can pass writing 1/1E with credit by exam. That could be AP, that could be SAT or ACT. If you don't have writing placement for any of those areas, you will need to take the OPPE, the AWPE, which was mentioned in our welcome email that was sent out yesterday, and you'll find a link to sign up for the OPPE, which is remote and being held this month. So if you don't have AP English, if you don't have strong SAT scores in writing, and if you don't have an ACT score, you should look into taking that OPPE. And then as you'll see, the other areas are listed out there. You can use this chart to kind of fill in what you think your AP work will fall into first, and then pick your GEs for FSSP. As you can see, you need at least 4 classes with a writing requirement attached. You'll notice classes like Chicana Studies 1A and 6B provide that writing. You will not earn the special subject writing area via your area A writing 1, writing 2, writing 50 requirements. Those are different requirements. So this is the list from the FSSP summer course catalog. You'll notice at the top that it does say LNS only. Please ignore that. These are also available to you as an engineering student. This is your first experience of kind of being the smaller college in a very large campus. They forget that you might also take some of these classes. The areas you don't need to take, Area B, which is designated LNS only. We do not have an Area H language requirement for engineers anymore, so you do not need to take a language unless you have a personal interest. You will not take Area C, Science, Mathematics, and Technology, unless you are a CS major. CS majors do take science electives, and the classes listed in Area C, a good many of them will serve as a science elective outside of CS8. So if you're a CS major and you want to take a science elective over the summer, you can pick from that list. If you have AP Bio, then you're done with your science electives and don't pick from that list. So you will see that things listed under Area D will also show up under ethnicity or under writing. That means you earn that all of those areas with that class. So this is the list that you'll use to pick 2 to 3 GEs. Even if you're listing a math or an engineering class, you should always identify 2 to 3 GEs for your FSSP enrollment sheet in case one thing is full or it conflicts with another class. The FSSP advisor can move on and enroll you in the next option. And in general times, and even now, we do plan to hold FSSP engineering socials. In the past, we've gotten together and to eat ice cream. We encourage you to bring your own ice cream to our future Zoom session, which you'll get more information about once registered in FSSP and attending. It's usually in week 3 or 4. And that's a chance for you to meet myself, my colleagues, other people in the college, EOP advisors, and we try to bring some of our students who are involved in our student orgs to give you guys an idea of what our orgs do, how to get involved, and just to answer some general questions about their own major experience on campus. So we do still intend to hold some version of this, and we hope you will join us for it if we do, when we do, if you join us for FSSP. This page is brief. It's financial aid and special incentives. I'm not a financial aid advisor. You should reach out to financial aid counselor if you have any summer session financial aid questions or regular quarter financial aid questions. This is informational only. So students do qualify for FAFSA. For FSSP, you'll want to get your application in no later than June 30th, so the end of the month. Generally, those are awarded mid-July, so it's a pretty quick turnaround. And then in addition to any federal financial aid you may receive, there are other opportunities to save money. That includes the Santa Barbara Summer Grant, which provides eligible students with a maximum of $2,500. I don't know what that disbursement would look like now that FSSP doesn't have the housing component. It does make it a little less than it typically would be in previous summers. And to about 20 minutes is what I said. That brings us to our general contact us page. So I mentioned a couple things. If you have transfer work from another institution, whether that be a community college or four-year, you should reach out to us. The email at the top, COE-info, is the best one to reach our general advisors. It'll go to me or my colleagues. If you have specific FSSP application or enrollment questions, you should reach out to the FSSP engineering advisor. Her name is also Katie, so it can get a little confusing. If you are a CS major, your advisor's name is also Katie. Welcome. Then some other helpful links that I mentioned earlier, GEAR, so you can look up your AP courses. In the back of GEAR, we have our four-year grids, and our requirement sheets for all 5 of our majors. So these can be very helpful to look at to see if you do take a GE now, where will it be coming from in the future? That's one of the benefits of taking FSSP classes, is it can lighten up your course load for your junior, senior years, which you may not want to take 16 units when you are starting out 2 to 3 classes in upper division coursework. You might want to have that extra time to focus on tasks outside of the classroom, or to get involved, or to do a minor, or to look for internships and research opportunities, which often we have recruiters come to campus during the fall and the winter to talk about summer opportunities. So it can be nice to have extra time during fall or winter quarter where you're not going to class at 6 o'clock and instead you're going to a recruitment information session. So those are some of the benefits of taking classes now, not necessarily to graduate ahead of schedule, because for the majority of our majors, you cannot do that. 4 of our 5 majors require a senior capstone sequence. Most of those senior capstone sequences are 3 quarters, and they will span fall to spring of your senior year. So graduating early, under 4 years, generally not feasible for any of our majors except for computer science. But if you take classes ahead of time, you will have the opportunity to supplement all that free time you created for yourself with other enrichment opportunities inside or outside of a classroom. And I think that's my spiel. So I'm gonna look over some questions really quickly. If you took AP Calc BC during high school and got a 5, then you would start with Math 4A. So it's very important to note that if you earned AP credit for a class, if you took BC and got a 5, you earned credit for 3A and 3B. That means you should technically move into 4A on our campus. If you wanted to review the curriculum for 3B, you could enroll in the course, but you will not earn units, because you can only earn units for a course once, and you will have earned units for that course with AP. Same goes for CS8. So it's up to you. Usually auditing is a better option rather than paying for a class that you already have earned the credit for. Auditing means attending the lectures or reviewing the material without being enrolled in the class. So if you really feel unsure about your math placement, reach out to us and we can talk about those options. We don't have a general way of knowing what faculty, how faculty are approaching their online learning techniques, unfortunately. If you were to get registered in classes now, you could definitely reach out to faculty ahead of time if you know which classes you're going to take and their faculty are already in the system. But unfortunately, there's no general searchable website for that. You should get your AP scores in time to allow yourself, oh, the OPI.
I think so. The question is to not take entry-level writing, and yes, so entry-level writing, which is fulfilled by writing 1 or 1E, isn't required until the end of your first year. You'll typically take it your first quarter, but we will help you evaluate during orientation what writing class, if any, you should enroll in. So there is an issue with AP scores and timing for orientation, but it won't impact your actual requirement. If you're asking about taking the exam, you may want to just take the online AWPE this June if you're very uncertain you've scored high enough to fulfill the entry-level writing requirement. That would give you a lot more options moving forward with registration.
Someone asked if you were allowed to take more than 10 units. Yes, especially once the system opens up. When your past time for the summer actually starts, which will be the beginning of the quarter, beginning of session B, closer to the actual start of classes, your gold access will open up. You'll be able to go in and make edits to your classes. We don't encourage this because if you drop something, we might not be able to get you back into it, but you could add things if space is available. I will say that FSSP is likely going to prioritize getting everyone in the 9 to 10 recommended units before enrolling in more than that, only so that they can accommodate as many students as are interested in the program. As I said, we only hold so many seats for FSSP and the rest have been available for our continuing students to register in. So a lot of things are very full. You can take, I'm going to answer this live. If you wanted to try to take Math 3B and CSA or Engineering 3 and a Math, you can do that. We generally like to say to take one major course and one GE for the lighter workload and the flexibility. And, you know, if things are feeling more challenging than you expected, you're only taking one class towards your major, you're not taking 2. So, you know, we say yes with caution. Can I apply to take CSA as an EE? I'm looking to switch to CE. You can request it on your sheet. It won't take away the fact that you still have to take ECE 3 in the fall, but you can request it. They will still be prioritizing students who need it first, but if you want to put CSA on your sheet and you don't have APCS or other CS credit, then yes, you can go ahead and try to get CSA in FSSP. They do hold seats for FSSP students in that class. It might, however, like I said, be prioritized first for computer engineers and computer science majors. So you might see yourself enrolled in other classes first and have the opportunity to try to get into that later. That question should be directed to the FSSP advisor. How it works is FSSP is going to enroll you in the classes that you request, and then you can go in and make edits later when you have the ability to do so. Is my understanding that AP scores of 3 would also be valid for AP English? Yes, an AP score of 3 will cover your entry-level writing requirement. You still have to take writing 2. So if you scored a 3, then you could take writing 2 for the summer. However, students who score a 4 or higher on AP English earn credit for writing 1 and writing 2 / writing 1E, writing 2E. And we do not hold seats in writing 50 or 50E for the summer. So that option is not available to students who scored a 4 or higher on AP. Could explain the writing placement 2020 a substitute for the OPI. Are you going to take that, Haley?
Yeah, I can take that. So the writing program is actively trying to create other writing placement options for students who at first we didn't think there would be an online AWPE, or students who don't take the online AWPE. They are creating another placement arena. My understanding is that all placements will count. So we don't have details about writing placement 2020. I haven't received any updates about how that will look or when that will take place. I hope you all have received information from the UC or UCSB specifically. The writing program itself has a website dedicated to placement this year. So we sent a link to that yesterday. Perhaps it's updated and I didn't notice. My understanding is that writing placement 2020 may not happen prior to orientation. This isn't too big of a problem for engineers. We can typically kind of work around a lot of these kind of timing issues with your classes and kind of help you out. So it's kind of a work in progress, I guess I would finish with. As we have more information, we'll certainly get it out to you. By the time orientation starts, I think everything will be kind of more settled. And there's also a way to challenge your placement, I think. And yeah, and I will also say that if you end up scoring a 4 or a 5 on one of the AP English exams, and you have a lower placement somewhere else, the AP English exams will always trump that. So kind of highest score counts in these areas. So once we have more information, we'll certainly be working with you individually during orientation to determine your placement. Sorry, I can't give you much more information on that.
So it kind of covers a couple of those. Yes, as far as we know, 2020 AP scores and will be credited the same way that any previous year has been, regardless of the circumstances. We have not gotten any direction from admissions that those would be treated differently. So that is general. If you earned a score of a 3 or higher, you should at least earn unit credit. And then there are a few courses that require a 4 or a 5 to earn specific classes. But in general, 3 or higher will earn you unit credit on our campus. What is the difference in recommendation about CS8 during FSSP versus fall? I don't really think there is. I think if you are a CS or CE major who has not taken APCS or equivalent introduction to programming courses elsewhere, that's a great option to take during the summer. We are not sure what fall will look like, but it is a good bet to say that large classes may still be remote. So you could take it remote in the summer, or you could take it remote in the fall. If you are a CS or CE major who does take CS8 in the summer, then you can move it forward a CS class in your grid in your 4-year plan. So instead of taking CS16 in the winter, you'll move it up into the fall. Given that I have received credit for CS8, are there any more major specific courses I can take as a computer engineer? Math. That's basically it. Your next CS class is going to be CS16, and other major related courses are not offered or saved for FSSP students. Yes, if you want to take 2 GEs, that's kind of why this screen up here has notes that you'll take either a GE or major class and a general education, or general education and general education. If you want to take 2 GEs and get those out of the way, that's a great option. There's no harm in that. All that's going to do is lighten up for a lot of you. Our chemies and our MEs take a lot of their GEs later in their time at UCSB as juniors and seniors. So if you want to lighten up your junior senior load as a chemi, ME, EE, that's a great option. You can get as many AP units as you've earned. There's no cap on how many AP units you can transfer in with and how much unit credit you can earn with. They're not all going to be beneficial for your major. AP Chem, AP Physics, those do not clear you of our engineering chemistry or our engineering physics. You will still have to take chemistry and physics on our campus. For some of our majors, like mechanical engineering and our ECE department, physics is integral in your later classes. So you'll want to have a strong base in physics. If you took AP Physics, it might help you with that first class in winter, but it will be different. So send over all your AP credit. It only helps as units towards graduation. What is the difference in recommendation between STEP and FSSP? This is a great question. STEP is a specific introductory transition program that is shorter. I believe it's a week long, and it's hosted via EOP. And if you're invited to that, it's a great resource. You know, Haley might be able to jump in. I believe STEP is free.
Yes.
Yeah, so STEP is free. It's a great opportunity if you can't afford to do FSSP. It's not going to get you class credit. You don't take classes during the STEP program, but you are introduced to a lot of the same resources that you would be via FSSP. You get to meet advisors the same way. So if you can't do FSSP, if you can't take classes this summer, I still would encourage you to do STEP. That's a great opportunity.
There's another question, related question. Can a student do STEP and FSSP at the same time? And from what I've heard, the answer is no. It's definitely not feasible in-person methods because everything overlaps, all the programming with STEP. But my understanding is even online, there would be, the timing just wouldn't work out between all the programming.
For EE only, CS16 is shown as a requirement. Is CS8 a prerequisite for this class? Yes. You'll still need to take CS8 to get into CS16, even if your requirement sheet doesn't show CS8. Oh, actually, backstep, I'm sorry, no. Electrical engineers, this is new to last year, which is why it almost slipped my mind. Electrical engineering students will take a class called ECE3 in the fall. This is going to serve as your prerequisite for CS16. So you don't need to take CS8 as an electrical engineering major. You'll clear that prerequisite, but if you, yeah, that's it. Even if you're changing majors, ECE3 can still serve as a prerequisite for CS16 for change of major pursuits. CS8 is not a required class for any change of major into CS or computer engineering. Therefore, you can take any type of prerequisite to clear you for CS16. How do we make sure we do not overlap GEs if we have taken community college classes? That's a great question. Email us the community college classes you took. If you can send us a PDF of an unofficial transcript, that's great. If you could just send us the course codes and the campus that you attended, such as I took Music 102 at Skyline, send us that to that email that was at the end of our slide, and we can tell you based on assist.org, which is the articulation website we use, that's ASSIST.org. We can double check against that and let you know what kind of community college credit you're joining us with. And that way you can make the best choices for FSSP GEs.
Katie, I'm going to ask you 2 questions in one. We have a lot of questions about taking more units. What does 14 units look like? What does 12 units look like? And what about less? Can students take less than 9? Or yeah, 9.
Yes, you can take less than 9. Like I said, you will always have to take the 1 unit international INT, interdisciplinary 95 class, which is Introduction to the Research University. That's a requirement of FSSP. If you only want to take one other GE, one other math class, and no GEs, that's fine. I do believe you can take more. I will say 13 to 14 unit workload in a 6-week summer session is heavy. It will move quickly in 6 weeks. A lot of you are joining us from a semester system. So a quarter system is already going to feel faster than what you may have done in high school. And summer moves even faster than that. And this is why we generally don't recommend students take more than 9 to 10 units, more than 1 class towards your major, because we don't want you to overload yourself so early and then find that the workload took some adjusting to, or study habits needed to be tweaked and honed in to meet the expectations of our campus. So yes, if you feel confident, mention on your enrollment form. I believe the enrollment form, once you apply to FSSP, you'll get an approval email. That approval email will give you directions to request your classes. I believe that enrollment form has a number of units you would like to take. And like I said, FSSP might prioritize students getting into 8 to 10 units first before they enroll students in excess units, because there is a limited number of seats for this program. And I think the fees, I'm looking it up right now, but I do believe the fees that you pay for FSSP are still per unit. So if you do take less units, your FSSP cost might be less, but do confirm that with FSSP advisors. And if I accidentally applied for writing 1, despite having already gotten a 4 on the AP, there is an enrollment adjustment form on the FSSP website. So if you were to Google UCSB FSSP and go to their program page, there are 3 tabs: schedule classes, special courses and seminars, and FSSP schedule change request form. You should, it's a Google Doc. You should complete that and send it over to the FSSP advisor. And if they place you into a class that you have placed out of, 1, I review all of the students who enroll in FSSP. So we will likely catch that, because we generally have your AP test scores before FSSP starts. So if there are any obvious glaring schedule issues, ideally you have 2 advisors who are looking into that for you. But if you just recently got an AP score or accidentally requested the wrong class based on the AP scores you've taken, just email FSSP advisors and they will be able to adjust your enrollment form. And you can start enrolling in FSSP now. They're accepting applications. It's on their website. You'll fill out an application of interest. And then, like I said, a couple days after getting that application, you should get an email of approval to the program that's going to tell you how to send in your request for specific classes. And then the FSSP advisor will start enrolling students in about 2 to 3 weeks. We usually wait until after we get through the end of spring. Our students are going into their finals week next week. So we are still in our spring quarter. So generally summer sessions will wait until the end of spring quarter and start enrolling our FSSP students. So if you fill out an enrollment form application and then send over an enrollment request form, you should see classes in your Gold, which you log into Gold, G-O-L-D, with your UCSB Net ID and password that you've previously created. And you should see a summer session. And you should see classes. If anything looks wrong, feel free to reach out to us. Yes, if you've already submitted something if you added yourself to those 4 units and they're not FSSP related, then yes, FSSP will add you to your own things for that program. But if they've only put you into 1 class so far, don't worry, they'll fill in the rest later. Will lectures be recorded for students in different time zones? Likely, yes, but again, this is going to be on a case-by-case basis by faculty, and we don't have the resources to say what faculty are using what format. If faculty are having students attend lectures, then yes, students in different time zones might, if you're nationally, the worst it might be is that your 8 o'clock class, you're attending at 11. There aren't too many super late classes, but maybe you're in a class at 9 o'clock if you're on the East Coast. If you are an international student in another country, this program may or may not work out for you unless you are a night owl, because we can't guarantee that some of your classes or that your exams won't be held during a certain time frame that is designated on the enrollment sheet. So on the schedule of classes, down in pages 11, 10, and on, there are days and times noted for those classes, and faculty can choose to host their class during those days and times and expect students to show up in order to attend the lecture. So we can't say, unfortunately. Any other questions for myself, for Haley? Great. Well, you had very great questions. I appreciate that everybody who stuck around had valuable things to add to the conversation and to expand on. Like I said, we will still be committed to providing an informational orientation session. So we hope that you can join us for those. Do look in your UMail. We will always reach out to your UMail. So we ask that you reach out to from your UCSB email. This helps us verify that we're talking to the person we think we are, and it also keeps us FERPA compliant, which is a policy of our campus. So if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to email us from your personal UCSB email account. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Yeah.
There was a few last questions about a deadline to enroll. I don't have that information.
I don't know if there's necessarily a deadline. However, courses will fill up even with FSSP. The seats that they have saved aren't endless. So if you wait until closer to the start of the program, which is, I should know this, session B. So they go to an info calendar sometime in July, beginning of August.
July 31st.
July 31st. No, session B, yes, July 31st. Technically, I think that would be considered our move-in day. The longer you wait through July, the less options there will be for them to enroll you in. So if you're a student who wants to take Math 4A, you should send in your information now. And I will say, for students who do take Math 4A over the summer, we will not necessarily be able to guarantee you a seat in Math 4B for the fall. So keep that in mind, because you're already joining us 2 quarters ahead of your math requirement. We can't guarantee that we'll have space for a student to be a full year ahead of your math requirement. We still have to accommodate our continuing students who might need that area. And we will, if the recording worked, we will host this recording on our website. So I'll send that out to people afterwards. Otherwise, if you just want the PDF of our presentation, feel free to email us at COE-info and I'll send it over. Great. Well, I really appreciate, again, you guys taking time out of a crazy world to spend with me and listen to me talk at you for a little bit. I can't wait to meet you all during orientation or in future quarters and working with you through the next few years.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you all. All right, I will say good night now and have a great evening. Like I said, any follow-up questions, send them on over to that COE info. Take your screenshot now if you haven't already. Awesome. All righty. Have a good evening all.